But I'll take a couple more here. One is from Benj on Instagram. It says, my wife divorced me. Do I have to get an annulment to start dating again? This is a really important question. I'm so sorry for your experience with your spouse. I can't imagine that experience. And it's difficult because I know so many people who the divorce was not their choice and they want to start dating again. I know many who throw themselves up, say on Catholic Match or into the dating world, and they start dating people and they're not forthcoming about the fact that they're actually still married in the eyes of the church. And they may be trying to date Catholics or they may be trying to date other people, but your faith matters to you. And I think that the fact that you're asking this question is really important. You should have an annulment before you start dating again. And I know that's a difficult approach. I know you may or may not even be able to access an annulment. That might not be possible because remember, an annulment is not Catholic divorce. It's not just the church saying, hey, go at it, you can marry again. It's the church saying that a marriage never existed here to begin with. And so it's to annul, to make null your marriage. It means that the marriage never existed. And that is what makes you free to date and possibly remarry. And you see, I know so many people, unfortunately, though, who start dating before they've even started the annulment process or while they're in the middle of the annulment process. That is unfair, not just to yourself, but to the person you're married to in the eyes of the church. This is why we take our vows, and our vows include fidelity to death. And that is so important because you're not only doing damage to yourself and your soul and your commitment before God, but you're doing damage to your spouse and also to that person that you're dating when you're married to someone else in the eyes of the church. You see, we don't just make up these rules. The rules are created because God ordained marriage, and God ordained marriage to be between one man and one woman till death do us part. And this is why I want to take another question here that actually had to do with understanding the Catholic understanding of marriage. Angela on Instagram asked, are only Catholics' view of marriage eternal? Do other faiths believe that marriage is eternal as well? Catholics actually don't believe that marriage is eternal. Marriage is, think about the vows, till death do us part. So if you're living and your husband dies, that marriage that you lived here on earth, it's over. You could remarry. And this is another difficult one to swallow. There is no marriage or marrying in heaven. Marriage is not necessary in heaven. Not that if your spouse is there, you won't know them and love them, but marriage is not necessary in heaven. And so it's important to understand that the Catholic view of marriage is not eternal. It's here on earth. It's a path of sanctification. It's a journey toward God. This is why that whole idea of spouses getting each other to heaven is so important. This is why the procreation and education is so important within marriage, because marriage has to do with holiness, with doing what is true, good, and beautiful. And sometimes that means we find ourselves in the murkiest of situations and we have to choose to love our Lord and love others, sometimes more than our own desires. Say, when your spouse leaves you and you want to start dating someone else, but you're still married in the eyes of the church. It's because we're called to be honest with ourselves and to have integrity with regard to the commitments we make toward other people.